the crypto market in a while. After seeing so much red on the charts, we've completely bounced back with just over $130 billion flowing into the crypto market today. Crazy numbers coming in. And that's just off the tailwind of Bitcoin smacking straight up towards that $121,000. But on today's podcast, it is going to be a little bit doom and gloom because we want to give you all of the facts and not just give you one side of a story. Today, we're going to be covering if we think that is going to be a bull trap that we're in right now, or if we're going to smash the all-time high. We're also going to be covering some altcoins that may be getting an ETF approval coming up, which will allow for hundreds of millions of dollars to start to flow into those coins. And on top of that, we're also going to be looking at some little crypto picks and some news as to why the crypto market is running and why it could come to a halt. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. And we're joined here today with Mat Ceddia Stella, who is all the way in the UK. So Matty, thank you so much for jumping on.
What's happening, guys? Thank you very much, mate. This has been our first time that we've actually been able to do this podcast across the world. Every time we've had to do this, something has happened. One of us was sick, one of us is unavailable, but now we're here, we're live, and I absolutely can't wait to get into this one today.
My man. It's going to be a big one, guys. We have so much to cover. Before we get into the alpha, make sure, guys, that everyone smashes that like button and drops a comment in the chat. And if you haven't yet already subscribed, make sure to subscribe. We go live every single Friday to give you guys the alpha. So let me just switch this back over to my screen. It is a little bit harder today. I've only got two screens with me. But first off, what we're seeing is that October, or as some of us like to call it, what do we call it, Matty? Uptober. We've just entered October, which is probably one of crypto's most bullish months. If we're having a look here at the Bitcoin monthly returns, usually during an October, we do get a pretty green seasonality, we're going to call it, with ranges between 10 to 30% swings within the month of October. Let us know in the chat if that's something that you want to see in this October. Are you long or are you short? But right now, we have started October really, really strong at a plus 5.39%. However, going and having a look at the liquidation heat maps, I think it's a little bit too early to decide if it's going to be full bull mode just yet. Matty, there was a post that I shared. For those of you who don't know, I do a private call every Tuesday in Empire. And on that call, I showed some stats. And for the last year and a half, the start of every single month has seen a bit of a dip. And we usually conclude that dip around the 10th of every month. Oh, is he there? Yep, he's there.
We lost you for a second.
Yeah, we usually see a bit of a dip. You can see him focusing on 1,001 things. Guys, let Mat Ceddia Stella know if he should concentrate, put it in the chat. But I'm only joking.
I had to set up the phone so I could see you in the corner here. But I agree. We have pumped dramatically. And we were talking about this last week. We're saying, how fast the crypto sentiment can change, right? Last week, it's all doom and gloom. Everything's crashing. Next minute, Bitcoin pumps $10,000 out of the gate all of a sudden. And everyone's like, shit, what is happening? But we did bounce off a nice level of support, right? And now we're thinking, hey, are we going to come back down and retest, or are we going to come straight back through that resistance?
Well, that's the thing, So, there was a post that I shared, and in that post, the first 7 days usually are really, really bearish. Doesn't matter whether it's October, September, November. And now what we're seeing is this time round, the sentiment has shifted where we saw a really big boom really, really fast. And if we're just having a look at my chart, it does leave me to think that, hey, this run, it may be a bit temporary. One of the big things that I look at is, for starters, this run just happened way too quickly. But what we can see right now is that there was a heavy amount of liquidation levels sitting at around the $120,000 mark. And historically, the market makers, they love to push price towards those levels to knock everyone out of the market before continuing in a direction. But vice versa, we've now collected all that area around the $120,000 mark. And now you can see there's heavy, very heavy levels of liquidation sitting there all the way down to the $108,000. So we could see another dip come down to take out those levels. But Matty, rip out the charts. I want to see what you're looking at. I'm going to flick it over to your screen now. What are your thoughts, mate? You're our technical analyst. So what are you seeing on the charts right now?
Look, similar to what we just spoke about, similar to you, I'm looking at those levels down. Look, we've got a lot of liquidity sitting at 108. I think if we smash down to there, it is going to cause some major problems for the crypto market as a whole.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I'm looking at, can you guys see my screen? It hasn't popped up on my end just yet.
Nah, you're right.
We can see
it.
Good?
Yep,
all right,
yep,
perfect. I'm looking at this level here at the top, 120K. So we've been monitoring this over the last couple of weeks. And last week when there was all that doom and gloom, I was speaking to the community. I said, look, well, right now, I want to get don't think we're going to crash just yet, right? We've got a nice level of daily support here. Not many people were counting this in and not many people were watching it. But if you look back towards December 2024, this is essentially when this first resistance point actually started. And you can see here, we actually created a nice order zone right at that daily level, had a big bullish engulfing come straight off that support point and smash straight through this trend. I was actually expecting, full honesty, I was expecting this to maybe not hold up after we had this hammer form at the resistance point. I was expecting us to come down and actually retest this point. We came straight out the gate and smashed through everything. So I'm watching this level right now where price is attempting to hold. Now, the thing that I'm sort of caught up with here is we are starting to form a bit of bearish divergence. We're starting to get that pivot. So right now, personally, I'm not opening up any more long positions just yet. I think we need to have a little bit of a cool-off session. This is on the daily time frame, and if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, you can see here we're starting to get a little bit of momentum starting to fade off, and I really want to see if price holds up about here, but I am expecting a retest back down towards, you can see where the EMAs have crossed over and this trend. So do you know this just as well as I do? Retests are king, and they usually come back down, so I'm waiting for that to occur before I jump into anything.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So, and I just want to flick over to my chart for a second because I do have something really similar. And, what we would usually see in this kind of I'm going to call this an accumulation schematic, is that the market makers do tend to, well, let me just switch it over to my screen. Do tend to push it up, swing it then much below that level of support to collect all those stop losses. We did see a bit of a double dip this time around where we came back twice to come and collect all those levels, and now we're heading back up. So for me right now, it really is dependent on if we are going to hold above this or turn this level at around, say, we'll call it 120,000. If we're going to turn that from a resistance into a level of support, but the indicators are telling me that momentum is starting to slowly die off. We can see here on the 4-hour prices continually putting in higher highs, but we are starting to see some lower highs being put in across the CCI indicators. If I switch that over now to the hourly as well, you can see there's just bearish divergence galore starting to kick in. And personally, I do think that we may get one more dip back down, at least retest this breakout here around 117,000. But personally, I'm looking at this next dip if we get one and say, well, this dip is for buying. What are your thoughts, Patty?
Guys, so bring it up onto my screen again. I want to show you one thing I am watching on this chart because similar to what you're suggesting, I'm looking at the total market cap at the moment. This is the one I've been monitoring religiously at this stage, right? And I'll close the momentum indicator for the time being, but you can see this trend has held up since April 2025, and we've had constantly bounces off this trend. It was actually the first time that we broke through that last week when the doom and gloom started to come in. But what you can see, and similar to what you're talking about, it reinforces that sentiment. We've gone up, we've actually taken out the lows on the total market cap. We've now come up and we're actually retesting again that breakout potential. Now, I don't know about you, dude, but I've seen this plenty of times. We come in, we sweep the lows, we come in, we sweep the highs, we then find that EQ level, that balance point, and then we get that run straight out the gate. So I'm thinking, I think that sentiment around the October got really, really a bit of wins for people. I think everything started jumping in very, very fast. I think it's still early days. We're 3 days into this period, mate. If we keep going the way this is going, I'm going to say $200,000 Bitcoin. But the reality is, we've got to have some sort of cool off. And I do expect we're letting it at least come back, let the EMAs catch up, get a retest of this level as well. It's just natural. Markets can't go constantly up every single day. And we've had that all bloody week. So I'm thinking we're going to come back and retest some of this zone. And again, that gives us that pullback to about 115K. So interested to see how this plays out over the next couple of days, if not the next week, to be honest.
Me too. Look, one of the other things as well is, one thing that is really influencing this is the US government shutdown, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds. So yeah, I'm on the same boat. Me personally, and this is not financial advice, I'm not telling anyone to go ahead and do this. This is just what I'm personally doing myself is, I'm going to be looking to accumulate during this dip, and I'm going to be sharing some of the altcoins that I'm going to be looking at accumulating on this call, as well as on my Tuesday calls. If you do want access to them, make sure you click to the link in the description to jump into the Empire platform. So, Matty, I'm just going to bring it over back to my screen for 2 seconds. So what we can see right now is there is $1.5 billion of liquidations sitting at What is it here? 130K. Just give it a second to load. I am running from the laptop today. So yeah, about $1.5 billion liquidations at 130K and 1.5 billion a liquidation at 105K. Although the market structure does tell us that we may come towards the 130K level first, I'm just not buying it just yet. I do want to see that $120,000 level hold as support before we go ahead and do that. But just be aware that there is a lot. I mean, a lot. Like you can just see just this image here. Like it's pretty much talking for itself. It speaks. They say actions speak volumes, right? So what we can see right here is if you look to the buy side, there's just F all liquidity. And if we have a look to the left on the sell side, look at how much liquidity is just sitting there, just absolutely waiting to be scooped up, right? So definitely keeping our eyes on what's happening there over the next couple of days. It's going to be really, really important. And one thing that I do want to say is, don't get too excited. Oh, I'm missing out. I'm missing out. Oh, I need to FOMO in, because what we find is that during these periods, this is where a lot of the buyers get trapped and you just become liquidity where the big guys are about to come and dump on you. So that's one thing to be really, really careful of.
Seds, on that note, right, can I just jump in for 1 second? I just want to express the fact, we spoke about this on Monday and we spoke about this last week, is just how fast the sentiment changes. And I said to the community the same thing. I was like, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, this is how market activity works, right? And over the course of the period, this is what happens. 1 minute you're going all the way down, next minute things completely switch, you're going all the way up. And that's where that FOMO element of controlling that and having that discipline is really, really important. So for those that are watching, if you do feel like you're still getting trapped into that situation, just go back, look at the end of the chart, look at what happened to the left of the chart. How many times have we broken to that upside only for price to come back down? And the same thing I want to express is a percentage gain on Bitcoin can be a percentage gain somewhere else. So it does not matter. And says, I want to show that across some altcoins, but I know you've got some more alpha to get through. So you jump into that and I'll start loading up those altcoins.
You get ready for those altcoins and I'll start loading up some more of the alpha. Good man. So, just one thing is those people who are getting that late bit of FOMO, really your opportunities to buy were right here when we broke into the range, retested it, confirmed it, and then bounced. So for me right now, once again, looking for some dips. But let's get on to why the market is running right now and why this could be a really big bull trap. Because what we saw over the last couple of days is the US government has officially come into a level of a shutdown. And that means that all the non-essential services are basically, people that are working in those jobs are basically told to go home. They're not in the office at the minute. And this is basically causing the US dollar, the DXY. If we have a look at the DXY chart, it's just completely dropping off a cliff right now. And a weaker dollar does usually mean a stronger Bitcoin. So that's why one of the reasons why we did get that pump. You can see that as from the 26th, the DXY just completely shot down. It is starting to now find a little bit of life. However, still looking extremely weak. But what does this US government shutdown mean for the crypto market? And that's what's going to be most important that we need to look at, because there are a couple of variables that not many people are talking about. First thing is, if we have a look at how the previous US government shutdowns have happened, we usually did get a major dip towards the shutdown. Prices were still quite unstable, and then not long after, we did see massive bullish rallies. And I'm expecting this time around to be not too much different, but I did go ahead and do an article in Empire in our platform. If you want to access this article, just make sure you head over to our website, empirecryptotrading.com. And I did look at the last couple of shutdowns, and we can see from the data in January 20th, 2018, there was a shutdown. Once again, Trump was president as he is now. And the shutdown lasted 3 days, and that basically caused Bitcoin to dump 12.71%. In most occurrences, except for on February the 9th, where the shutdown was only for 9 hours, did Bitcoin actually run. So I think what the main fear that's going to be caused by this shutdown right now is how long is it going to last? Because the longer the shutdown lasts, the more complexities that come with it. And if it is extended to a bigger period of time, like what we saw here at 35 days, we could see some bearish action take place within the market. Now, one of the things that if you're a trader right now, you'll be very aware that crypto and Bitcoin especially tend to run a lot more like, or move, I should say, a lot more like traditional stocks, where Wall Street wait for things like economical announcements such as the jobs, the CPI, the inflation, PPI, FOMC meetings, all these kind of things now do have quite a large impact on the crypto market. But now that the US government is closed, what we can see right now is that there actually isn't going to be a jobs report tonight due to the government shutdown. So now we have to ask ourselves, well, that leaves a section of uncertainty there for investors. How is that then going to be relayed onto the market? And therefore, how is that going to affect prices? Matty, what are your thoughts?
I am exactly where you're at. It's uncertainty, which is not the thing that I want to see in a market cycle at all, right? When you've got these large pumps based upon the uncertainty that still is within the market, that's what I don't like. Talking about the Dixie says what you were just talking about. Can you just bring up my screen for a moment? And apologies, I have to keep asking you because there's a bit of a delay, but this is what I'm looking at on the Dixie at this point in the moment, right? We've been going through this range, and similar to you, right? The Dixie has been absolutely crashing. It has been falling off an absolute cliff for a very long time now. You can see this on the weekly time frame. It's just been coming down consistently. However, this is what I'm looking at right now. You can see this on the daily time frame. We're actually starting to form that low that has occurred, right? We've bounced off this support level a couple of times now, dating that all the way back to about July. Now we're bouncing off that point again. We're starting to get that inverse head and shoulders start to form as well. I'm really looking at this because you've got about a 3% range. And we know if the Dixie runs, in a lot of times they're not, we do start to see a bit of Bitcoin fall off, right? The price starts to come down as the US dollar starts to accumulate value again. Now, 2.9% doesn't look like much, but if you go back and have a look at July and see how that's affected Bitcoin, we'll see what's happened there. But at the same time, I'm looking at this right now because we've bounced off this point again. If we start to get closes above this 50 EMA and above this order zone sitting in place here, then again, that uncertainty that is within the market, and similar to what you're saying, if it does go on for too long, then I personally don't like the outlook on what it's going to have on the overall markets. I was actually quite surprised, and I know you can talk for yourself in that respect, but I was surprised that we continued to run this week despite what was happening with the government shutdown. I know that doesn't affect the rest of the world per se, but that uncertainty element within the crypto space or within the financial markets has surprised me to an absolute T, even with the US 500 and the stock still pumping this week. I mean, I'm happy days. My stock portfolio is doing absolutely fantastic. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and going, hey, there's something sus going on with this one here.
100%.
There's something that it just doesn't add up for me when I look at this. It just, something here is on the cliff.
I don't remember the last time I seen like such a high level of uncertainty and see the markets continue to rally to all-time highs. It doesn't make sense. Like I understand, and this is the point of debate, right? Is I understand, okay, there is not as much faith in the US government right now. US dollar is dropping. Previously, you go back and have a look at when we've seen really, how can I say it, really uncertain times within the market. It's been the complete opposite. Bitcoin has completely dumped, right? So you're right. And it is more or less one of those things where we just have to wait and see. And I think tonight, the jobs numbers, how that's going to react on the market will be, quite a big driving force and give us a bit more information as to what we can expect.
What do you reckon, Says? Do you reckon it could be officially that hedge moment everyone's been waiting for, Bitcoin to be the hedge against all this drama that happens with the government? What do you think?
Well, there is.
Hey, do you reckon that narrative is going to come out again?
Maybe the store of value. Look, I think that could be one of the things because gold has been running as well. But from what I've been reading, a lot of the monetary policy has a big drive on this. So we know that we got interest rate cuts not so long ago, and that tends to be bullish. One of the reasons why they weren't going to cut interest rates was because they were worried about the tariffs and what effect it would have on the inflation. It then came out this week, just before the shutdown, that the tariffs weren't making that much of a impact on inflation. So I suppose the market was more or less acting upon the information that they had prior to the shutdown, and they're running with that same narrative throughout this shutdown. So that does lead to, ask the question, well, okay, what in the government does open back up if the data does come out different? Everyone's been pricing in what they've been hearing and knowing the government's shut, they're letting the market run. What happens when they open it back up, right? So, so quite uncertain times ahead, but nonetheless, we trade upon it. We make money when the market goes up, or we make money when the market goes down. So nonetheless, doesn't really affect us. If you are enjoying this content so far, guys, please smash that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. We go live every single Friday to give you guys the crypto wisdom and alpha. But let's get into more of what we're expecting to see throughout October. So go back to sharing my screen. So first off, CZ, the founder of Binance, has come out and said that he's not predicting the future, and don't get too excited, but he is coming out and saying that a September in the past, one of his first crypto cycles, September was usually the bullish, and then if you look at, bearish, and then if you look at what happened coming into October onwards, we have seen massive pumps. And once again, that does go back to what we were sharing here, where you can see October is usually quite a green month. So some pretty exciting times to come, I do believe. What do you think, Matty? Do you think it's going to be a really bullish end to the into the year? Nice juicy Q4?
Look, you know me, Seds, I go based upon my analysis, and historically, when you look at and from an analysis perspective, and I've got an article on it, I've got to dig it up. I'm going to share it on Empire. But if you go back over the last 100 years, it talks about the fact of basically the last quarter in most years has been one of the best. Right.
Yeah.
Now we know there's never a guarantee by that element whatsoever, but we do love to work off past data. It helps us to predict what could potentially be happening. It's never financial advice. It's just, hey, I'll make an educated decision for my own portfolio and my own decision making. But I am looking at a couple of things right now, and similar to you, I go back to the fact that we've just pumped too hard too soon, right? I'm looking at the USDT dominance chart. It says, if you want to bring up my screen for a moment.
Yeah, sure thing.
But I'm looking
and
at
while
the
I bring this
USDT
up, guys, we have 27 people watching right now and only 18 likes. If we can get 30 likes, I'm going to share some really good altcoin juice. So make sure you smash that like button, fam. Maddie, take it away.
I'm going to share one on top of that. I'll share one that pumped 40% last week, and we hit that to an absolute T off the bottom of the range. And I think that thing has still got plenty in it, but I'm waiting for the pullback now. But looking at this, the USDT dominance chart, I've been monitoring this one closely. You can see now we're basically back off this order zone, right? And we're off the trend. So every time we've basically hit this point, you can see price or the USDT dominance of the overall market. And for those that don't understand why I'm showing you this has a very negative effect on Bitcoin. If this pushes up, essentially the USDT starts to play a more dominant effect within the market, and it means essentially Bitcoin will go down. Right? It's just the facts of how this operates. So looking at this, you can see every time this is pushed up, it has had a bit of an effect. And right now, we've got basically a range of 5%. If that pulls back, you can basically say from an overall perspective and just round numbers, right? 5% reduction on the overall crypto market. Again, probably 3 or 4% on Bitcoin in itself pulls us back to about that 115K zone. If that does occur, I'll be prepared for it. But what I'm looking at is I'm looking at something like this to happen. If we do pull up here, I'm essentially looking for this point here. This here is my big support level, Seds. I don't know if you've got this marked out, but this here for me will be the bull market endpoint. When I say endpoint, I don't really care if it's bull market, bear market. We just trade whatever it is. But I'm looking for that as being the big catalyst for the massive run that everyone is
we
expecting.
Deserve that massive
15% drop. Mate, we deserve, everyone in the crypto space, I shit you not, everyone in the crypto space deserves this run. They have been through the absolute turmoil that I reckon I've seen. This has probably been one of the most volatile periods in crypto, I reckon, this year that I've ever
One of the hardest bull
personally.
markets. One of the hardest bull markets for sure.
One of the hardest,
we've made it out
by
alive,
far.
But it's been hard.
It has been a gig and a half, I'll tell you that much, right? But that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this on USDT dominance. And again, just playing in, before we jump off this one, just playing into the fact that the Bitcoin dominance chart as well. Again, it's starting to find its bottom, and I'm interested to see if we do get a leg up here. Again, that'll sort of have an effect on the overall market as well, and just something to be monitoring. So I'm really heavy on those correlation charts at the moment on how it's going to affect the overall market versus just looking at the single line of focus right now. So I'll pass it back to you and get more into the alpha.
I've got some news to share with you, and this relates to altcoins, because usually and historically, when we do go into an alt season, what we see is a period where the government does what we call quantitative easing, and that's where they start tipping money back into the markets, or not so much into the markets, but they start tipping money back into the economy, I should say. And what we're seeing right now is really early signs of that, where on the 1st of October, we saw $5 billion of quantitative easing start to be injected into the banking system overnight. And then we saw yesterday another $2.9 billion also get printed and used that for buybacks. Once again, more and more quantitative easing. So when we're looking at the US dollar, we're saying, well, it's getting weaker because they are printing more dollars as well in real time. $2.9 billion, it's quite a lot. And, I feel that just going back to what was happening with the US government shutdown, one of the things one of the reasons why they're shutting down essentially is because not Trump's side, I can't remember if they're Democrats or Republican, I don't know which one's which, but not Trump's side, but the other side wants to go ahead and fund a $1.5 trillion healthcare thing, which includes sending billions, I think it's $500 billion worth of money to Peru to support transgender surgeries, right? Now, you look at that and think it's wild. Why does the American taxpayer have to pay for some people's transgender surgeries in Peru? But that could also be why the market is pumping a little bit and the US dollar is dumping. Maybe they are pricing in the fact that, hey, Trump might actually go ahead and print this $1.5 trillion to fund these operations. I don't think he will. I think he's very adamant on his stance. But, if they go ahead and print $1.5 trillion, it's almost 5% more circulating US dollars, which means the US dollar
going to ask you something.
Lose its value.
I'm going to ask you something here, right? If you're $37 trillion in debt,
I think it's 41 now.
Oh, it's 41. Wow. Okay. How do you get out of this bubble? Like, what do you do right now to get out of that, to make it worth your while as a country to pull yourself out of so much debt? Because I just don't understand how this is sustainable. Or they're just going to inflate the gold prices like they're thinking of doing.
According to those guys, it's by helping Peru people get transgender surgeries. By the looks of it, these basically got no idea what's going on in this government, mate. It's broken. There is trouble, and that's the thing. Like, maybe they're starting to price that in, so that could be what also caused this pump. We need to look at that, because a weakening dollar does lead to higher prices of Bitcoin in most cases. But anyway, that's what we're looking at right now, and because of this, we're also seeing this money printing happening. We are seeing the global M2 money supply heavily start to expand. Bitcoin tends to follow this really closely. You can see that there has been a big gap in it over the last couple of months. I think that it's a matter of time before the Bitcoin bulls wake up to this, and Bitcoin does follow the monetary supply like it has for so many years. And we just go bang straight up and we match towards that 180K mark. That would be absolutely fantastic. So I do think that this is something that we'll probably see. And I do think that this October month should be bullish for Bitcoin itself. But I just don't see the first week being much more bullish than what it has, if that makes sense. So I kind of feel like a bit of a pullback is necessary before we continue in that big direction. But let's stop talking about Bitcoin right now, because I know, and Matty, that our audience right now are here for the altcoins. Let us know in the chat right now. Do you want us to keep talking about Bitcoin, or do you want us to start getting into the altcoins?
How's our like count going, Ceds? Because I can't see it on mine at the moment. And
how's our what going?
Enough guys, our like count and our comments.
Our like count? I want to get into the altcoins. I know everyone wants to hear about altcoins. And we got some juicy alpha, so make sure you stay tuned. We have 22 likes, 29 people watching. That means 7 people haven't smashed that like button just yet. Wow. Come on, guys. Let's get this alpha out to everyone. The more you support our channel, the more we're going to try and support you guys. So first off, this is what we need to discuss is in breaking news, and this is something that's definitely going to affect the crypto market for a bullish perspective. In breaking news, the US Treasury exempts Bitcoin and crypto from 15% corporate minimum tax, more or less saying that, hey, less taxes on your crypto trading, on crypto companies, however this is going to look, that can lead to more money flowing in. The way that I look at it is, why am I going to go invest in a company like Netflix, which is currently dumping after, if anyone's seen what's happening with Elon Musk right now?
That's wild, that one.
That's wild.
The power of that man is next level.
He's nuts. Why would I go and invest in Netflix when I can go and invest in crypto and pay less tax and get potentially more volatile swings, right? So it does make perfect sense. But what we're seeing from this is the coins that are listed on Robinhood. When we do see these kind of announcements, and we have seen it before, probably at the start of this year, if I can go off the top of my head. When we've seen something like this, we did see a lot of the Robinhood listed crypto tokens get a really good pump. Even some of those dinosaur coins like what's it called? Stellar Lumens, XLM, and there it is, XLM, Tezos, and a few others. So a couple of the coins to look out for right now are going to be the ones that are listed on Robinhood. Matty, if you want to give us a chart, there's a couple that I want you to chart. I want you to take a look at AVAX. We're going to flick it over to your screen right now because AVAX, not only is it on this particular exchange, but there's also rumors of an ETF that could be coming this month. And, just going back to that, that usually leads to very heavy inflows over time into that particular coin. Take Ethereum, take Solana as an example. But Matty, switch it over to your screen. What do you reckon of AVAX, mate? What are you seeing?
Let me have a quick look at AVAX, because this is one coin I've been monitoring for a very long time, and we always have a look at this every single week on every Monday. But I wanted to jump back just before I get into this one. Seds, what you're saying about Robinhood, think about the logic, right? And I've spoken about this before. We've discussed this, but the logic behind the fact of coins listed on Robinhood, it makes it easy for mum and dad investors to buy crypto.
Yeah,
that is what people look for, right? Because you're not going to have them, the mum and dad, signing up to Dex Screener to buy a crypto token. You're not going to have them trying to jump through all these hoops. They just can't be bothered. They want to look at, okay, what is the easiest mechanism? What is the safest one for me? I'm going to use Robinhood. And it makes it easy. But jumping into AVAX at the moment, what I'm looking on AVAX, keeping this really, really simple, you can see we've basically broken out of this support range, right? Now, was monitoring this with the team, and I'm going to keep this really, really simple for everyone. But there's a range here of about 21% on AVAX. So we broke out, we retested, we actually monitored this one, and it pumped 21%. Now, we're back down to this level as well. But I'm looking at this now and going, okay, well, look, it doesn't look too healthy for me right now to jump back in, because why? You've got basically, and you keep it as simple as possible for these people, but you've got the trend lines that are forming here. You've got a nice big bearish flag that is occurring. So if I was looking at AVAX from any sort of perspective, I wouldn't be entering personally right where it is right now. I'll look and see where the price actually comes back towards that $29 mark. I'll set an alert there. I'll also set one as low as 28.36, and I'll see how price reacts off that point, because when you look to the left on this chart, you can see price gets stuck within that range, and it's typically bounced off that point historically, but it hasn't been a great level for too long. We've only had one breakout point after a very large accumulation phase that took place for a very long time. So the breakout at the moment, but I want to see if I'm going to look at any sort of entries, I'll look deeper down for me personally. And right now, a little bit of uncertainty. As we know, I'm expecting to pull back on Bitcoin, because if we get the pullback on Bitcoin, this is probably going to come along with it. So I'm just happy to wait this one out for the time being. But there is a range of about 21% on that one.
Beautiful, beautiful, guys. And if you are enjoying Matty's analysis, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Matty goes live in the Empire platform every Monday, where you guys can get access to his live market analysis and live trading. Make sure you click that link in the description. You know what? We're not going to end it there. Matty, another coin I want you to look at, and this is going to be a bit unexpected because it's kind of one of those dinosaur coins, but I'm going to show you the alpha behind it in a second. I want you to have a look at Compound.
Really?
Yeah, a big dinosaur coin, also listed on Robinhood. I think it might be about to wake up. I'm going to show you guys the fundamental perspective in a second, but we've got a few coins to get through today. So
I canned that from my list. I had to just put it back on there.
Well, keep it on there for now. Show us, how is this looking?
Oh,
look at that.
This is I'll tell you now. This is why I canned comp for a little while ago, because it just kept going back to this $40 mark, right? And I was like, this used to be valued, I think it was at like $600, said. This thing absolutely pumped even higher to $900. This was the peak of comp in 2021. Yeah. This is also why I don't hold altcoin bags and love to trade them instead. But if you're looking at this in the moment, it is back down towards that bottom of the range. Now, the only deepest point I can look at from a comp perspective is around $28. Now, that is a significant dump. All right, it's about 30% to the bottom of that range. But if you know what, I am going to set an alert there. We're always going to set an alert at the bottom of those.
I'm going to do the same. I really like comp because it doesn't have many tokens in supply, so it does move really fast. That 30% dump, a lot of people are probably thinking, it's a bit unrealistic, but it's not. Like, it can happen. It can happen quite fast.
That's the point, right? It can happen very, very quickly. So I'm looking at that right now and going, if anything, I'll set an alert here at $41, but I'm going to wait for that point to hit before anything else, because if you look at this is a huge range on comp. Between this range, it's 146%, 148% to the top of the range there. So data tells us historically, June 2022, this level here has been holding. I'm happy to wait it out and see if we can get a little bit of a deeper retracement before we sort of have a better look at this one. Tell me the alpha. What do you got on this that you've made me add it back to my coin list?
Let me tell you why I'm so heavily watching this right now. It's mainly because what we're seeing, let me share my screen. What we're seeing right now, just came out recently, is that, give it a second, is that Van Eck, one of the major ETF providers, has come out and registered for a Lido staked Ethereum ETF in Delaware. Now, that means we could see a bit of a narrative start to play for Ethereum staking over the next couple of days. While this is happening, we saw Jack Ma from Alibaba. He went ahead and bought up a whole bunch of Ethereum just recently. I think it was 500 million. And some other Chinese companies also really heavily stacking up Ethereum. If we look at the price of what we've seen over Ethereum in the last couple of days, you've seen it's completely run. Like in terms of percentage, it has heavily outperformed Bitcoin. You see here, breaking a $400 billion Chinese fund manager just launched a 500 millionized tokenized fund on Ethereum. I think there's too much happening on Ethereum right now. I think if this staking ETF goes ahead, there's just a lot that we need to discuss. And if we go back and we have a look at Robinhood, well, one of the Ethereum DeFi plays, which has to do with staking, is Compound. We've also got Lido, which I'm going to get you to chart in a second. But then there's the two big ones. There's Aave, which usually gets a bit of a feed. And we also know that Aave is working very closely with World Liberty Financial. And then there is Curve. So, Matty, show us a chart on Lido, LDO. That's a big bag that I've been holding for a long time on Lido. Mate, I've been
You've been talking about Lido for a little while. I won't lie. Well, and it's one coin
before you show
look at it.
Before you show that, right? It's just really important because right now what we're finally seeing, right, is Eric Balchunas. Eric, we're going to go through that one in a sec, but Eric Balchunas, he's basically the guy that I've followed for many, many years. And he's like I'm going to call him like the ETF whisperer, right? When he basically gave me the heads up on his X that the Bitcoin ETF was coming, gave me the heads up that the Ethereum ETF was coming, gave me the heads up that the Solana ETF was coming. And now with the new rules that passed in the US Congress recently about the ETFs, as long as the coin's been traded for X amount of time on a futures market that's regulated by them, that the ETF can be approved. He's come out now and basically said that the odds for crypto ETF approvals, they're essentially what he's claiming is to be 100%. Now, how does that affect the market? Well, more ETFs come in, more money flows into those coins potentially. And I think Ethereum is, it's in a really good spot right now. So I'm just going to switch that over to you, Matty. Give us a look at Lido, LDO.
So I had a glance at LDO, and what I'm looking at the moment is we're basically trading this range, right? It's 25%. So guys, you're starting to see the way I sort of look at things, right? I look at things from a range perspective because if I'm looking to get into anything, I'm looking at getting in at the support levels or above the resistance point when we get the break and retest. So at the moment, I'm looking at this. You can see we've basically smacked straight at that order zone. You guys will see I use these religiously now. Once you see those order zones form, that's what I'm looking at. But I'm looking at this at the moment. It says we're in a nice, the uptrend is forming, right? We've got the higher highs, the high again. We had the equal high there, so we put in the double top and prices come back down. But look at this on the weekly time frame, right? Last time off this level when price did actually get up and go, it pumped, right? It moved 136% off.
Got a bit of go to it. It's like someone just got a firecracker and shoved it straight in its ass.
What I'm looking at here though, right, is when prices start to hold above the 2-3 level on this fibs on the weekly time frame, it starts to cement the fact for me that it's a strong level of support. So what I'm essentially going to be doing on this call today is I'm just going to set an alert down here at $1.08. I'm going to see if price does come back to that point. If not, my other look at this will be when price does pull back to around that 0.50 mark, the middle of the range, because you can see those bounces off that point as well. But I'm always hesitant to jump in middle of the range. I like to get those really deep entries to give me a better risk to reward ratio. So that's what I'll be waiting for on LDO right now.
What are you targeting? Where do you think it's going to go? I want to know for my personal reference. What's your look at it?
And once we break out of this point, and what I'm looking at from here, you got $1.33. If it pumps from there, then you're going to break that 155-cent mark. $1.55. Once you get past that point, mate, the next big order zone is sitting around $1.90, which is that lovely place of the 707 as well on the Fibonacci chart. So something to keep note of.
And percentage-wise, what's that look like? How many percent am I in for? Because I'm actually long on this 10x leverage right now.
All right, so
it's probably one of my biggest positions as well.
All right, I'm going to play this a little bit conservative. If we get back to the 50 and it does get a breakout, it's about 57%. if it takes out each one of these resistance points. But as we know, until it breaks the resistance point, there's no point in going for the gunshot all the way to the top of the moon.
We can't
but that's what I'd be
speculate
looking
just yet.
for.
All right,
No.
let's have a look at Aave.
Aave, all right. I did want to cover one off. Do you mind if I just jump into one other one before we go into Aave? Because I've got it ready to go.
Does it have to do with the same narrative?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Nah, do Aave first, then do that one.
All right. All right. Well, Aave already had charted.
For those of you who jumped in late, we are talking about the ETH staking narrative. We're looking at some of the major Ethereum DeFi plays.
So Aave already had charted. This is something that we look at regularly, right? Because of all the fundamental elements that take effect. But just to make it a little bit crystal clear for everyone, again, I'm just looking at the ranges again on this, right? At the moment, it's up against resistance, but you can see it's trapped now within this order zone, right? This level of support. So we don't just draw a support level with one line because the institutions don't give a shit about your one line on the chart. Let's be plain and simple. They're looking at ranges, right? So the range here in particular on Aave, it's about 5%. So it is reasonable. But I'm looking at this at the moment because we're trending below the 50 EMA. But we're looking to see now if price can actually hold within this order zone, because you can see here when price has held at the bottom, you've had those nice pumps back up, right? But if price starts to close there and actually doesn't reclaim above that point, there's a stronger possibility when I look at things that it's going to then come down. So watching this at the moment, you can see we're basically smacking right up above that resistance point. I personally, as with anything, I'm not going to long anything into resistance, right? If I'm longing, I'm longing off support. If I'm shorting, I'm shorting off resistance. So this one here, I've just got to wait out to get a little bit more confirmation and see where we go. I'll run the indicator for the momentum. You can see we've got a bit of bearish divergence forming as well. I think personally, Seds, unless we get that pullback on Bitcoin, I'm a little bit hesitant to jump into the alts without that pullback just yet.
Me too. It's like you're jumping in after the pump. That's what I feel right now. Yeah, I do feel like that very, very much. Yeah. Yeah,
never buy the big green candles, right? You can see here off the 707 here on the 4-hour time frame as well. So yeah,
probably
gotta be cautious of that one.
First. All right, Matty, what's this coin you wanted to show us? Come on, hit it.
All right, I've got a couple. Said, are you going to talk about XRP later before I jump into that one?
Well, do you want me to just to cover that now real quick, and then we can talk about?
Yeah, go through XRP quickly, because I think that's a good chart, that one that I want to share. But you go through the alpha first.
We'll go through the rest of the alpha, and then let us know in the chat, do you want just a big degen altcoin charting session with Matty Stella? Let us know if that's what you want. And if you haven't yet, please make sure to smash that like button. It supports us so much. All right, let me go into that. So, all right, Matty, you're going to really, really like this one. I don't really like it at all. And for those of you in Empire, you're about to know what's coming. But 21 shares, SUI ETF and their Polkadot ETF are now listed on the DTCC platform, which means an ETF launch could be coming soon. 2 coins to be watching out for right now to add to your watch list are the SUI and Polkadot coins. I think Polkadot is probably some of the shittest technology in all the crypto space, just as bad as Cardano. But Matty loves
the mum and dads love it.
You absolutely love it. Definitely one to watch out for right now. And given the fact that Eric Balchunas has come out and said that ETF approvals are almost at a 100% rate right now, definitely 2 to have a look at. If you wanted to go ahead and chart those ones, if you want, and while we're here, actually, may as well just do all the ETF coins at once. XRP is also getting a decider for a spot ETF in October, so keeping our eyes on XRP. So go ahead and have a look at the ETF coins. We've got XRP, we've got SUI, we've got DOT, we've got AVAX, which we looked at the start of this call. And, you know, if you go back and look at the Robinhood list, well, AVAX is AVAX on there? I don't think AVAX is on there. Oh, it is. AVAX is on there. There you go. I'm pretty sure Polkadot's on here as well. Maybe not. Yeah, well, there you go. And XRP definitely is. XRP is like the everyday mum and dad coin. So, Matty, if you want to give those a quick chart, XRP.
I'll show you guys.
And DOT. And
I'll show you guys. I've got DOT already up. I've got XRP because XRP I've been monitoring all week, right? But DOT, guys, this is a token. I've smashed over 1,000% gains on this token on 10x before, right? This is one of my ones that I absolutely love. I haven't traded it though. in a little while because I just haven't liked the chop that's come along with it. So I was waiting for the breakout to give us some sort of direction. And you can see when you start to get this connection point here off the order zone, you start to build a little bit of substance, a little bit of base support. So I'm watching this point at the moment. I'm looking to see if we get holds above this $4.20 mark. And I'm also looking to see if we can get the EMAs. You can probably just see it here. I'll hide that for the time being just for a moment. But you can see the 50 here. I want to see that start to come up, act as a level of support, and actually price hold on this order zone here, in particular above the 200 EMA. If we can start to get a bit of that, I'll start to get a little bit of confidence because, as Ceds is saying, I've charted this token for a while, right? I've been monitoring this for some very long time. And this thing here was once valued at about $40 from memory. Now, from where it is now to the next order zone, it's about 20%. But if you look at this from here back to the top of the range of $10, it's 152%. And it loves to bounce off it once it starts to get above these points. So I'm monitoring this one quickly. Altcoins start to go, Ceds. This is a coin that I'll be religiously trading.
Yeah.
But you can see here, dropping into the 4 hour, right? We got to get that pullback. Got to get the retest. When we get the EMA cross, we get the retest. You got that little accumulation range taking effect. I think we come back down. I'm gonna actually set an alert here, $4.08, and I'll see where this one plays out. Now, XRP. XRP is an easy one, right? This one here is some of the cleanest structure that I've seen on many tokens in a very long time, right? This is how easy XRP is at this point in the moment. And I've been talking about this one. I shared this one on Monday, and I said, you're looking at a range of about 7 to 8%. I've just adjusted that because you can see the order zone has now formed at around that $3.10 mark. So it's 11% off the base. So now you look at this and you look to the left and you go, well, hey, prices bounced off here in August and September, right? You keep going. Prices bounced off here all the way back to July. We've had the breakout now. So the accumulation is starting to form, right? And now we're actually getting the breakout point. But we need a crash above this point here for any further positive action, in my opinion, to go back to above. But you can see there is a big, big order zone. And I want to say big again and big again because you look at this. This is $7 billion tokens in transactions are taking effect with a large selling pressure at this point at around $3.25. You put that in comparison, that is basically this big one down the bottom, and this one here combined is all sitting at this point here. So that there is a very big resistance point sitting on XRP for the time being.
I want to ask you a question. Wait. Before you finish XRP, I want to ask you another question about XRP. What would be your end of based on the fundamentals, based on the ETF, and based on your analysis? Let's not look at it at a short term. What would be the end of October prediction for you?
All right, you know me, right? I love to use Fibonacci. Fibs for me, and look, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove all this because I can do this again later, right? But Fibs for me helps me to predict where I think tokens are going to land in the longer term basis, right? Now, if I'm looking at this one in particular, I'm going to do it in two scenarios. I'm going to run my Fibonacci tool, my trend base, all the way to the top of the range, right? Yep. This here would be my target, very simply, for XRP. If we do start to break out of all these resistance points and you get the altcoin season everyone's running to, would be that one Fibonacci. Why? You run it from the base all the way to the top, you put the higher low, right? And where the next target would potentially be would be, for me, around that $4.53. However, just, again, we've got to take note. You've got to break through each of these resistance points before getting up to that point. And that's why I'm very cautious about wild speculations. I love to put them on there, but each level essentially needs to be okay, we take one, we go the next one, and we basically use them as staircases.
The stairway to heaven.
Hey,
the stairway, the crypto version, the stairway to Valhalla.
So that's
Guys, if you're enjoying this call so far, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Matty, hit us with Sui.
All right, Sui. So I do have Sui charted up as well. This is another one that we always look at. Give me 1 second. Let me find it. Here we are. I've got a lot of tokens on here. Sui is another one. So going this into the daily time frame, again, I just monitor each of these levels with Sui, and they've held up. In all honesty, guys, I haven't not changed this chart. And if you're in the watching this and you're on my Monday night calls, you know that I just have a look at this same chart week on week with Sui. I actually don't need to change it much at all because each of these levels just continue to be respected, and that's what makes this token. If you are trading it, you can actually have a look at it and go, okay, well, hey, each of these levels we break above. There's a chance of it moving back to the top of the range. We break below. There's a chance of it breaking down. What I'm looking at the moment is you can see we've created this order zone. 827 million Sui tokens have taken effect in terms of transaction points there. They've got the 200 EMA rise in. We've got the 50 coming up as well. Honestly, what I'd want to see with this one, Ceds, is you can see here we've retaken the double top formation that was here. So that for me is a bullish signal. But looking at this, we get a nice little retest around that $3.50-ish mark, $3.46, a bit of a deeper
And
one.
boom.
And you're looking at a range again of about 20%. So there is plenty. This is the part that you don't need a FOMO, right? I look at daily levels. The team knows I just look at daily levels because the price, it comes back to it at some stage. Now, again, I'm going to make something very clear. I do not share any financial advice. I will never tell you to buy, sell. I will never tell you to enter anything. I just literally look at the charts and go, hey, this is what I think might happen in my respect. This is what I want. This is a couple of things I wait for. And until I get confirmations, I won't enter any trades. But again, I love to look at this because it helps me paint the picture of the range in which tokens are moving, right? Versus going, hey, I need a FOMO into the market because something's moved 5% and it might be in the middle of the range. And you've got a high probability of then getting stopped out on a trade. So I just wait it out these days.
That's it. Well, look, we've got a couple more minutes left, and then we're going to wrap this up because we've got a couple more altcoins to get through. But it is also almost 6 o'clock p.m. Melbourne time, and we know on a Friday night
You got to get down to that lake house, mate.
For dinner. So, Matty, hit us with this altcoin that you've been hiding, and then show us the secret one that you've been accumulating for the last 12 months that I don't approve of.
So there's one I wanted to touch base on because I get questions about this token a lot. I don't know personally why. I said you could share the fundamentals on it.
What is it? Which coin? I can't see it. Sorry.
STX. I don't know what the hell it does. Why people talk about it so often.
Stacks STX.
Yeah, tell me about it. Do you know anything that does it? This thing has tanked from $3.80 all the way down to 61 cents. So it's something I've just been monitoring.
Stacks is the EVM layer for Bitcoin. So you know how you're able to send Ethereum into your MetaMask wallet and you can use Ethereum to then transact with DeFi and other applications? Stacks basically is its own network for Bitcoin. So it runs on essentially like the Bitcoin network. You have your own Stacks wallet similar to MetaMask, and you can use Bitcoin instead of using Ethereum. So
okay, interesting.
What you usually find is that Stacks, when Bitcoin pumps, Stacks tends to pump first, and then Bitcoin goes after it. It's one of the things I watch really closely.
Okay, thank you for that. So guys, this is where we complement each other because I'm very much a TA-based trader. Ced's very much loves his fundamentals. But I've been looking at Stacks and I was looking at this because since the 5th of April, it's been holding off this 55-cent mark, right? And my alerts went off the other day. I set them again because I've just been monitoring it. We've broken out right now of the range that was accumulating, right? You can see here that price was just basically going sideways, created that order zone, and price broke out. So now I'm looking at this and going, I'm expecting with a retest to come back down around that 59-cent mark. And then I'm going to probably look at this one. But the big thing with this, right, is there is so much resistance to the top here, right? It's about 100% to the top of the range, but the resistance is massively forming. Now, from a deep retracement point, I put up a chart about this. The weekly order zone sits at about 40 cents, right? I don't think we're going to get to 40 cents.
Break that down for a second because
tell me.
I'm listening to you saying order zone and this and that, and I'm sitting here thinking, what's this mean? Like, do you think price will come down to there, then go up? Let's make, you know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to say?
I think right now,
what relevance? What relevance does an order zone have? What are you talking about?
So right now, right, price at the moment has bounced off this level of support. I expect the price to then come back down to around that 59-cent mark.
Okay.
If it does not hold at this point, the reason I look at order zones is because this is where the majority of the transactions take place. So this pulls data live from the feeds, right? And it actually shows you where majority of the buying and selling activity takes effect. So if I'm a trader, right, and I'm looking to buy into something, am I going to buy in based upon just thin air essentially and hopefully things go up? No, I want to buy where I think institutions are buying. These order zones allow me to show that data. Okay. That's why I use them religiously. So look, they're never going to be gospel, but these things are based on facts. This shows you where the amount of transactions are taking place and how many tokens are being bought or sold at those respective levels.
So you think we're going to come down to, what was it, $5.80?
59 cents. $5, mate. This thing goes to $5. This goes to $5, mate. You're loving life. Anyone who's got some stacks will be loving life.
I want you just to take a look at one more coin because recently BNB smacked its all-time high as of last night. BNB pumped all the way to $1,100. That means that PancakeSwap could be next to run. So if we could have a look at PancakeSwap, it's actually up quite a bit today. But where could PancakeSwap go? Because, you know, once upon a time, that was worth $30. It's currently sitting at $3.27. Do you think it's possible to get another 10x out of PancakeSwap?
Oh, all right. Let's have a quick gaze. I haven't charted up cake in a long time.
I love myself some
Wow.
cake. Let us know in the chat, guys. Do you like chocolate cake? Do you like red velvet cake? What is your favorite type of cake? Is it pancake swap? I don't know, but that is one of my favorite type of cakes.
Wow, I actually have not looked at this token forever, man. Oh, this thing has been off my radar for a very, very long time.
Look at that range, brother. Look at that range. Go back on the daily again. I forget I'm using my laptop. Your screen.
This is the
really
weekly
small.
range.
Look at that weekly accumulation. Oh my god, a breakout to that looks good for $9. I like that a lot.
But let's have a little bit of a look.
Oh, that's getting me. It's getting me a bit excited, Matty. I love seeing these charts.
Elevations going.
Yeah,
but
very elevated.
That there is sitting around $9, the top of the range here. But you got to get the breakout first. We got to get above this point, hold, get the push. There's a bit of resistance. Those sit in. Resistance here is sitting around $5. That's standard, right? You got the psychological $5 mark.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be watching for. Get the breakout, retest.
We can break through that $5 and then run to 9.
That's what it needs to break through the $5 first before we get overly excited. Again, so breakout, retest, push.
Yeah, and then I want to send this.
But we got to get a deep retracement. I can't get an entry there, but
I can't enter right there.
Isn't clean.
I would rather wait for it to break out of that resistance, come back, retest it, put in a nice morning star at that resistance. You know, maybe sweep out some of the last bit of liquidity, and then boom. That's more what
this level here isn't too bad though. This level here, I'll just make a line on just for simplicity.
Don't tell me the level, just tell me the price. Around $2 what? It's looking what?
$3.
All right, let's keep it very simple for Ceds and the audience over here.
I'm very simple person. Here, bro.
Very
simple $3 mark here. If we can look at the $3 mark, back to the top of the range here, $3.71. You got 22%.
Nice.
And you can see held here, push. We don't hold, come back down, hold here, nice liquidity grab to the bottom, push.
Yep.
So I'll be watching that point there before anything.
I'm actually gonna watch pancake swap.
We can't FOMO.
I'm not gonna FOMO it right now. I'll wait. I'm gonna set an alert. What's that price? 3029. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna set my alert.
I set an alert at $3.07 because I like to get a little bit of an early alert.
All right, $3.07. I'm going to be setting myself an alert right now. Let us know in the chat if you're also setting your alerts. 307.
Look at that accumulation as high highs kick in, high lows. Sorry,
mate. That looks to me. That's like that looks really, really juicy. I'm not going to lie. I really, really like that. I love it when they break out of these big ranges. So beautiful. Even
we got one last token we need to cover. You do know that.
All right, come on. Get it on us. Then we're going to wrap it up. Guys, if you haven't already and you have enjoyed our call today, please make sure to smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. If you got a lot of value, drop a comment. Let us know. We want to know what you guys want to see. If this is it, then great. If you want to see more, let us know so we can, give you guys the content that you want. But come on, Matty. I don't endorse this coin by one bit, any means, shape, or form. Matty tends to love it.
We've got to monitor it. We have to monitor it. It is the only fair factor to do, right? I don't know. Look, again, I make this very clear every single day. And guys, put your frogs in the chat. I know you want to. The guys that are watching, you gotta put the frogs in the chat. But Little Pepe is now sitting at $26.5 million raised. Each one of these levels, like we were talking about last week, is bigger now. So the stages are going to take a little bit longer. I'm predicting if we do get the altcoin sort of sentiment, this thing will probably start to fill up by the end of November. I'm assuming probably midway through to December. That was sort of the estimate as well into the new year. Monitoring this at the moment, it's got about another $25 million to raise. So I'm interested to see how long that's going to take. But we're sitting at 94%. Again, I'm not buying any more of this. Full transparency. I've already bought enough. But I'm just waiting for this one. I want to see how this plays out. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. Whether this goes up or down, I've just enjoyed this. And if this is a rug, I'll tell you again, this has been the best rug I've ever been a part of.
It's definitely high risk, guys. Some people like to go to the casino and they like to chuck some money on red, and Matty Stella likes to chuck his money on Little Pepe. If this is something that you're looking at, make sure that you're only investing what you can afford to lose, because like Matty said, this could well and truly be a rug. So guys, to wrap it up, our thesis is that Bitcoin is quite overextended at the minute. We could see price start to come down over the next couple of days, and we are going to be using that time to get our last minute entries within the market. Some of the coins we're going to be watching, guys, are going to be LDO, Aave, now Cake, definitely keeping an eye on Cake, SUI, XRP, and of course, the one and only Bitcoin. So we hope you all enjoyed this call. Matty, is there any last thing you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, mate, I'm happy. This has been a fantastic call, I think. A lot I would love to get is if people have feedback, please whack it in the chat, because I want to hear what we can do better to make sure that we smash this podcast. We want to be the best podcast by far within the crypto space, because the Empire platform is starting to be one of the best places in the entire crypto space as well. So I'm excited. I do apologize if I sound a little bit rusty. I am sick at the moment. But guys, this has been fantastic. Ceds, thank you. This has been an epic session. The alpha has been absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for next week. Bring it on.
No worries, guys. And make sure that you go and claim your free Empire accounts. Click the link in the description below. Make sure you jump into the Empire platform, your home of Crypto Alpha. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to wrap it up as soon as I can find the button to stop the stream. And we're going to see you all next week, next Friday. So have a great weekend, and bye for now.
It's out.